What's up, everybody? Well, we just got our 4th episode of Dexter New Blood, and right off the bat, I gotta be honest with you, this is the first episode so far this season that I could pretty much take or leave. It wasn't a bad episode, it wasn't like there was something embarrassing in it, but really felt like there was no momentum. There was no plot momentum, there was really nothing in this episode that we learned that at least I didn't already know or assume going into it, but nonetheless, you got to have at least one filler episode in a season, so I'm just going to hope that this is the one that we get and not a start of many. But nonetheless, a few things to unpack in this episode. The main one is that Harrison stabs his friend that was going to be the school shooter. And now, the last episode, I had kind of asked the question for everybody in the comment section, do you think this is going to be a big plot point when they showed his little notebook that he is planning on killing people, or at least he's fantasized about killing people in school? Do you think this is going to be like an event that actually happens in the show, and Harrison's going to be kind of an avenger in his own right at school while Dexter's doing his thing? Or do you think it's just going to be just a detail to show how fucked up that kid was bullied and they were not going to do anything beyond that? And it was kind of somewhere in the middle. We didn't get like some big event. There wasn't an actual shooting. There was no scene whatsoever. All we saw was the aftermath, to where Harrison was listening to this podcast and found part of it that was talking about the Trinity killer and then inevitably the murder of his mother, and the fact that he was left in the kill carnage scene in the blood. And then we get this emergency where everybody's rushing to the school and Harrison has stabbed the school shooter and stopped the carnage from ever starting. And right away, I thought, I don't know if I believe that. It kind of feels like with that build-up with him getting mad about the podcast, that he probably attacked him, just knowing that there was an excuse there that he could use for why he attacked him and get away with it. And that's pretty much exactly what happened. So the whole episode is basically Dexter starting to suspect his son, looking at his wound, understanding that the angle wasn't quite right, and then going and doing his typical forensics thing where he goes to the scene and puts it all together in his head that Harrison attacked this kid and then stabbed himself to cover it. And we don't really get any kind of payoff after that. Eventually, that's probably going to be in the next episode or maybe 1 or 2 episodes down the road, to where they're painting that Harrison has this dark passenger just like his father. And for some, that might have been a revelation. That might have been something significant in this episode. But for me, for somebody that loves this show and has watched it multiple times, as soon as Harrison showed up in the first episode, I pretty much figured that was going to be something they were going to address this season. So there was really nothing, no new information that came from that. It was just kind of going through the motions Dexter stuff, to where he realizes that somebody did something. And I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. Obviously, it makes sense that Harrison would have a dark passenger too. He was born in blood as well. Obviously, that's going to be part of the storyline. Whether or not that means Dexter teaches him the code and makes Harrison another version of himself by the end of this series, or maybe potentially even has to kill his son and himself by the end of it. Who the hell knows? But that entire storyline for me, as soon as it started, I knew exactly where it was going. So it was unfortunate just from my viewing experience that for an hour, I pretty much knew what was going to happen. There was nothing that was going to surprise me. Beyond that, the only other real story progression that we got was that Kurt, aka Clancy Brown, aka the villain of this season, for those that still are doubters, he is really going forward with this whole story that he actually talked to his son, and he actually saw his son on FaceTime. Now, as far as what I assume, I think that he's lying in order to make everybody drop their guard. I think that he suspects that either the police station or maybe even Dexter himself is involved in it. He suspects someone knows more than they're letting on, and I think he's trying to let everybody's guard down so that he can see where somebody slips. I don't think it's like a drunken stupor or confusion or anything like that, or him imagining it. I really do think that it's some kind of a plot that Clancy Brown is doing that just hasn't quite shown its head yet. And he's starting to show a little bit more of his character, to where at first he was just the angry father that looked like he might be a bit of a prick, or maybe everybody in town doesn't really care for him, or he's just the rich guy. And he's starting to show that maybe he does have a little bit more of a community good guy persona to him. I mean, as soon as the whole school shooting prevention thing happens, he brings over a present to Harrison and has a nice little conversation with Dexter, which kind of dovetails into him seeing if Dexter's going to let his guard down and let some information out. So he is becoming a bit more of an interesting character, and I am curious what more they're going to do with him. And they pretty much all but confirm by the end of the episode too that he is the guy that we have been seeing, that I've been saying in the security cameras, the guy that wears the face mask and was shooting at that girl in the last episode, because he takes this drifter girl that he tried to give a job and takes her to the exact location that we saw that happen. So I'm sure there's more to it. I'm sure that he probably is working with the oil driller or whoever the hell that guy was that was causing all those protests. But I believe that the main villain 100% is Clancy Brown, and the guy that we saw on those security camera footages where he was looking at somebody is Clancy Brown, and the guy wearing the mask is Clancy Brown. So we'll see where that goes. The podcast girl is coming around trying to get more of a relationship with Dexter's girlfriend. I don't know where that's going to go exactly. I mean, we got to see Trinity for a second in that picture. Supposedly Trinity's going to show up at some point in this season, probably as like a flashback or as some kind of a psyche projection, just like Deb is. But I hope that wasn't the only thing. I hope that's what they weren't saying was John Lithgow coming back for was just that little podcast clip. But beyond that, I felt like this episode didn't really have much in it. This really did feel like one of those in-between episodes where something significant maybe happened here, something significant's going to happen here, and this was just the bridge where not a whole lot happens. I don't know. Not really much else to say. I hope that the pace starts to pick up a bit. Like I've said before, I'm not saying that this show is slow, as in it's boring, but for only having 10 episodes, and from them all but saying definitively that this is it, that there's not going to be season 2 or anything like that, which they absolutely could be lying, that it feels like now we're almost halfway through all the Dexter we're going to get for the rest of our lives, and not a whole lot's going off yet, so I don't know. Better be some crazy ass final 5 episodes, but we'll see. What do you guys think of episode 4? Do you feel like the plot's meandering a bit? Were you shocked at any of the revelations given in this episode with Harrison having a dark passenger, him trying to stab this kid? Any of that surprise you? Let me know down below. And was there something significant in this episode that maybe I'm forgetting or that I'm leaving off because I'm struggling to remember anything else significant that happened? Let me know down below, guys, and we will talk about it. And please like and share this video and hit that subscribe button if you are a fan of Dexter. I'm going to review every single one of these episodes, and at the end of this season, I'm going to rank all now 9 seasons of Dexter and rank all of the main villains. So if you're a fan, definitely stick around so you don't miss any of that. Thank you guys for watching as always, and remember, opinions are like assholes, but that doesn't mean that you have to be.